Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them, and I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the website below where it'll have plot synopsis and character bios. For these issues, we're going to be looking at Todd McFarlane's Spawn, but we're going to be looking at issues 1 through 6. Now, we are only going to be, I'm only interested in the art, and I'm sure most of you are. I haven't read these stories in forever, and for the most part, I really don't care about Todd McFarlane, the writer. But I love Todd McFarlane, the artist. So, the first 6 issues of Spawn, here we go. McFarlane has some of the most beautiful line work there is. And so this cover is drawn by McFarlane, but it is this is not the one that is Ken Stacy would use airbrush, and he would airbrush the cover over this, but this looks to be the pencils and colored by Stacy here. So, all right, McFarlane left Marvel Comics, and he created Spawn and a toy empire, the likes that you can't imagine. So most of you know Tom Rozakowski is his letterer for every issue of Spawn. Now Tom Rozakowski is doing digital lettering based on his own. McFarlane is. I never understood these things. McFarlane, for someone, I don't know whether he thinks he has to add all these words for this. I don't know. But the issue, his stuff is really wordy. And I'm just not interested in his writing, but I am very interested in his amazing art because there's so little of it compared to other people out there. McFarlane has been around since the mid 80s, but the dude barely draws, unfortunately. And so I wish I would have been able to pick up the artist editions, but they were a little bit out of my price range, and so I don't have them. But look at this. This image is, it needs to be looked at again. It is just gorgeous. Wow. Just the way that cape is everywhere. So, um, as I mentioned, McFarlane also does a really good job with vertical panels here. He is really good at them. And so we're in New York City, and it's Spawn is kind of it's a ground level hero with a lot of supernatural elements. So, and he deals with homelessness and slums and mafia, but he basically sold his soul to the devil so he could come back one more time and spend a day with his wife. And he agreed to become the devil's spawn, for lack of a better word. But of course, you're going to see that there's a bit of a trick that the devil pulled on him. Now, I quit reading Spawn after issue 12, I think, or like right before McFarlane left to go do Batman Spawn crossover with Frank Miller. And then I never read the issues that came right after. Even though I have them, I am more concerned with McFarlane's art. It's just so McFarlane has such a different style. And yes, I know that everyone has different styles, but for example, when you look at Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri, um, they have a similar style. McFarlane's brushwork, and I think it's probably because he does rapidographs and uses very fine line. He is I don't know, very it's just so unique, and he sticks dashes everywhere. I have covered after this now with Spawn. I will have covered everything that McFarlane has drawn. So obviously, we're only covering the first 6 issues, and then I will be doing more of them. I'm gonna cover his entire drawing issues with Spawn. I'll probably cover some of the Capullo stuff that he inked, because I think really his I will agree with McFarlane. I think Greg. I don't think he is as good a penciler as um as other people are, but his ink line is absolutely gorgeous, and um it's absolutely so. Greg Capullo actually was an improvement on Spawn. The problem is McFarlane even quits inking a lot of that, and Danny Miki sort of becomes the primary inker, and that's kind of where a lot of stuff is. Um, it's pretty sad. So, all right. So here is the trick that the devil pulled on him: is that he was black, and the devil turned him white, and so he can't spend the day. And by the way, he also brought him. He didn't bring him back immediately. He brought him back after after some time, and so his wife ended up getting married. So he's trying to make himself black again, but he's not able to. And so this is Jason Wynn, and he's the guy that had him killed. I don't remember why. I really don't. And I don't care enough to read into it because, again, McFarlane's work doesn't really interest me. Not his work, his writing doesn't really interest me. Although there were some really cool things that he did. Billy Kincaid was very cool. Also, the kids, he did a child abuse story that will come later on when Greg Capullo takes over. I really like this clown character too. And the clown, by the way, is the Violator. And so anyway, um there were some interesting stories. So the child abuse one is really really cool. Man, look at this cover. They're all really good. McFarlane is man, I really miss his drawing. Um no, his, like I mentioned, his penciling isn't that great, but when you combine his penciling with this gorgeous ink line of his, it just brings the work to another level. But you can tell here that he is even feeling rushed because a lot of stuff just doesn't look as good as that first issue, and you can see that subsequent issues, he is starting to skimp. You can tell right there. He is looking for shortcuts, and a lot of shortcuts. There are some of his later issues that are prior to him leaving to just do the pencils. Um, Even though they're credited to him, you can see Greg Capullo was technically penciling them. So, um, yeah, this is I don't know what's going on. I haven't, like I mentioned before, I haven't read these issues in a long time. I just know that they look good, kinda. Like I said, look at this. So he's definitely 3 issues in, and he's already having issues. I don't know if they just thought that putting things together would make things easier, but look at how McFarlane starts to take shortcuts here. The lettering is absolutely beautiful from Orzakowski. Um, just it's just so good, and Orzakowski, I believe during this time, I don't know if he has gone digital yet, but Orzakowski is man, between Claremont and McFarlane, this dude gets a lot of words. Again, the details, uh, just I don't know. It's just, as I have mentioned in other videos, it's that opportunity cost. You cannot do everything. Ah, look at this. See this. He definitely does the details here in this page, so you can tell that when either a wants to create something, or wants to, when he wants to dedicate the time, definitely here we go on it. And this page definitely looks much better than the other ones. And so we're halfway through, and Violator gets this cover here. The one of the other things is that man, that's a lot of words. Um, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought here. Um, oh goodness gracious, this looks great. I lost my train of thought. That happens here when I have to ramble through stuff. Again, the details. Um, and selfishly, I really do wish that they had the time to draw more so than the toy empire. But I understand, because I am a capitalist, and I understand, they have the right to make the money. Man, poor Orzakowski. This is a great, great, great um, 2-page. This is just so cool there. I mean, McFarlane has it, um, but I do believe Greg Capullo is a better penciler than McFarlane. I think McFarlane is a great, absolutely great inker. And look at that. That is so cool. That right there. Uh, and I think that in the inking stage, McFarlane really does a fantastic job finishing the story. So this hair looks like a perm, what they would call a permanent back in the day. That is just, it's just so frizzy there. He just has no, he's just hurrying through this here. And I don't know if it's because he's writing so much, because look at all these damn words being put in here. I gotta tell you, I don't think I read a lot of this. I don't care. If you are a fan of the story, if you are a fan of McFarlane the writer, hey, that's all right. I am not. But it's okay. Art is subjective. I prefer the art. And so all right. One of the neat things about this is that Spawn isn't just a Daredevil type thing where we're dealing with the Kingpin and um, that kind of stuff, like ground level, like Batman, but you're also dealing with the supernatural. So that's pretty cool. All right, two more issues to go. I think one of the things that is throwing me off is that for some reason, um, I had started this video, and somewhere in issue 3, the Bill and Kincaid story is actually pretty good. The concept of it. Um, and then he goes back to this. Um, is that when I was recording the the video, I was interrupted by one of my dogs. He had to go potty. So I paused the video, but I must have stopped it. And so I kept talking. So now I can't remember. I thought I had done parts 4 through 6 earlier today, and then when I went to load it, I realized that I did not. It was like it was only 10 minutes long, and I'm like, "What the heck?" And I was pretty sure that I had done it, but nope. I had apparently hit stop, but I kept talking and I didn't notice that I had stopped it. There's Cerebus there on the like a plush toy. Um, this studio system that these artists like Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri and Todd McFarlane, although Todd McFarlane didn't really have a studio system, he just hired one guy. But Silvestri and Jim Lee definitely had a studio system. McFarlane, his story with Billy Kincaid is a really nice attempt at him trying to bring in a serious subject, similar to when he did the Perception story in Spider-Man. And then he is going to do one around Spawn 28, 29, somewhere around there, where he's got this abusive father and these kids. That I thought McFarlane was really trying to make things serious, or at least an attempt at creating some seriousness. So, um, this is so cool. High school me was eating this up. I could definitely see that there was some issues with the art, but I've and I don't know if I said this before because again I was talking and then I had stopped, and so, but 50% of McFarlane is better than no McFarlane here. I like this where Spawn is right there. The guy's on the phone or talking to his partner, and Spawn is right there, and they're not even noticing. And so, all right. And then Alan Moore is gonna do something with Billy Kincaid here, and then we're gonna end the issue with this amazing. I was like, Jesus, just so freaking wow. And so we are going to go with the final issue that we're covering today, number 6. And then we'll pick up the next 6 issues next weekend. For those of you who are around my age, meaning grew up during this era, do you miss Todd McFarlane drawing? Because I do. I really, really do. This sort of looks like, if you remember, I have his Amazing Spider-Man that I have covered, and Spider-Man had gone to twice a month, and it sort of looks like that, where he is, this character cost him a lot of money because he got sued for using the name of that hockey player. And, I wish he would at least do the covers. I would continue buying Spawn if it was, man, look at all those words. If he was at least doing the covers. I have to tell you that other than the early issues back when I was young, I don't think I've read a single issue of Spawn Even when 300, like 303, like he had come back with Greg Capullo, I still didn't read him. I just looked at the pretty pictures. Todd McFarlane is that kind of guy. If you're on my TikTok, I post a lot about Todd McFarlane and X-Men, which are some of my passions. And man, that just looks so rough. So, but still so cool. Anyway, I just adore McFarlane. I think he is so good when he applies himself. Not so much here. Like I said, it's missing a lot of those details that he normally goes through. And so we're almost done here with our coverage for this video. Man, those are a ton of words. And so here we go. And so we're going to end it here with this glorious image here, right here. So, all right, Spawn 1 through 6 by the one and only Todd McFarlane. Like and subscribe. I do thank you so much for listening.